welcome back to Derby Koi on this rather nice sunny day. It's the first day of sunshine we've had in a couple of days. We've had torrential rain and gale force winds, so I haven't had a chance to do any filming. I've actually been asked if I can do a short video trying to explain the difference between a pump fed system and a gravity fed system, so hopefully this is going to explain it for you. Starting with the pump fed system, it's basically when you are feeding water from a pump which is situated in your pond, and you're pumping that water into a filter which is usually or should be higher than your pond, so any water that you're pumping out can be returned back into the pond via gravity. Don't put a pump on the return for the pond for the filter as well as pumping it into your filter, because this can cause an unbalanced system. If you're pumping the water into the filter faster than you're pumping it out, you could overflow your filter, and vice versa. If you're pumping it back into your pond faster than you're actually pumping it into your filter, you can dry your filter out, dry your pump out, and that could just burn it out and cause damage. A gravity fed system is when you're feeding water from a bottom drain in your pond to a filter which should be set at the same level as your pond. So the water in your pond and the water in your filter is the same, so it's a nice balanced system. So if you don't have a pump running, they should be set level. So when you do turn your pump on and you're pumping water back into your pond, you're causing a draw on your bottom drain, which then causes a nice flow system. So it's a nice balanced system through your gravity fed. There are pros and cons with both systems. For example, with a pump fed system, that's basically when you've got a pump in the pond, and that's potentially something the fish could rub against and damage herself. It's also something for algae to grow around, so if you wanted to clean it, you've got to take it out the pond and clean it, so that you're messing with dirty water and dirty algae on that thing. Also, you got potentially an ugly pipe sticking out the pond. That's one side of the pond. So that is just a couple of pros and cons for that. Advantages to having a pump fed system: your filter, you could have that further away from your actual pond, but so long as you can have it gravity fed back, that's not a problem with that, so that is an advantage on that one. A disadvantage on a pump fed system: if you've got a ground level pond, that means you'd have to dig a pit out to fit your filter system in, so you can get that nice balanced system. If you have it out the ground, that's not a problem, as long as you've got that equal system on there. Also, with an advantage with a pump fed system, you've got a 4-inch pipe, so all the debris is getting a nice draw on it into your filter system. And also another one, when you're pumping the water back from a gravity fed system, it should be nice clean water, because your pump is after the filter, so you're pumping nice clean water, so there's less maintenance on your filter that way. Another disadvantage on a pump fed system, as I said, your pump is in the pond, so any debris is pulling through the pump is actually getting chopped up by your impeller in your pump. That is then going into your filter, so it's more work and on your filter system, and it means more for you to clean up that way, because it's chopping up into smaller pieces. There is other systems you can have, hybrid systems, pump and gravity fed, which I've got. So if you give me a second, I'll take you into the filter house and I'll show you the system I've got. Okay, so just very briefly, as I said, I've got a hybrid system, so I'm gravity fed and pump fed. As you can see my pump there, I have explained it, this is another video, I'll put a link somewhere on screen, but this is my pump I'm using, which is the Vary pump. That is situated approximately, it's gravity fed into that, and it's situated approximately 1.5 foot below the maximum water level of the pond, so that is all gravity fed into there. From there it is pumped from there up into my, you can see it up there, my UV system. It's pumped through that, then back down, and then into my easy pod. So as I said, it's gravity fed to here, and then it's pump fed through the rest of my system. One thing I will say, if you have got a pump fed system, if you bear with me, again I have mentioned this before in another video, is I would highly recommend having one of those little blue things there. That is a float switch. I had a leak in my filter house, which again I'll put a link somewhere on screen. I'll be a link to that video if you want to watch it. I had a leak through one of my pipes in there, and if it wasn't for my float switch, I would have lost a lot more water out of the pond than I actually did. So I'd highly recommend putting some sort of float switch in. If you're having a gravity fed system, again, in my video about building my pond and I walk around my filter house, either of those videos, in this here is my pipe work, and I've got a 4-inch ball valve. That is so if any maintenance I need to do on my filters and such, I can actually cut it all off, and there's nothing going into the filter house, and cut the supply off, and I can do any maintenance I need. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to take my pump off without emptying half the water out my pond. So that's two things I would highly recommend: a ball valve if you're a bottom drain, and if you're pump fed, one of those float switches. So hopefully that's explained some of the things, you know, a little bit about each system, and that's okay. As you can see, I have got a bottom drain which is aerated. I don't know if you can see it in this video, and probably not from there. But the water is actually lovely and clear at the moment on this beautiful day. I'm going to just have a quick look at the temperature while I'm here. So we've had some freezing cold winter days with the wind and everything else, felt like winter. It's 17.7 at the moment in the pond. That's gone up probably 1.5 degrees from yesterday, so it's great to get a bit of heat back in the pond and helps them with their feeding and digestion. As I said, just a quick video. Hopefully this explained everything. Okay, as I said, just a quick video. If I will put some links in somewhere on this, either in the video or at the end, or somewhere down the bottom, to some of my other videos about my actual pond build and walk around my filter house, which shows a bit more detail of float switch, bottom drain, ball valve, things like that, if you want to see them. So hopefully you found that useful, and hopefully you find some of the other videos useful. Big thank you to everybody who's subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for any future videos I upload, which I will be doing, hopefully quite a lot more. Again, big thank you. Any comments, suggestions, questions, again, leave them down in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.